A, A, right? In the first rank, and the second rank, and the third rank, and the fourth rank. Therefore, you could take this piece of paper and fold it on that diagonal, and C would land on C, these two B's would land here, and these two B's would land there just exactly like they are here. Therefore, if you fold it over, it has a symmetry. But notice C term, the last, which is the last term in the analogy, that too has the same property. And you can fold that over. Therefore, this mean analogy has a double symmetry. Well, not only does it have a double symmetry, but the ratio A to B and its converse, B to A, moves from the what's called the antecedent position to the subsequent position. And BC, in a similar way, moves from the subsequent to the antecedent position. Therefore, it has balance. Therefore, that's balance. Like my face may have a line of symmetry, so I can fold one side over on the other, but I can't take the bottom half and put it on top, or I'd have another mouth up here. Right? So it only has, right, a certain kind of symmetry, right? Lateral symmetry. That's all. It'd be funny to see someone with two mouths here say, hey, double symmetry. Right? You'd say, congratulations, double symmetry. And he'd probably say, well, that's true, but I did that in order to keep from talking on the side of my mouth, and I end up being able to talk, double talk. Right, okay, thank you. I was wondering how I was going to resolve that one. All right, look here. So it has double symmetry, balance. Take a look at B. It's a perfect, beautiful ellipse. Look at this, we can connect them all. A beautiful order. Would you agree with that? Identifiable order. When you have identifiable order that you can describe in terms of another figure, then it has a pattern. Right? If there is nothing left out, and you're able to then bring together into a unity all of the parts, then we can say, this therefore has the possibility of representing anything in a unitary way. That is, nothing is left out, all the pieces then are brought together into a unity. Now, therefore, whenever you're designing a work, a piece of literature or your own reflections, if you have three things that can be arranged in terms of a mean analogy, you can see that you can transform them in this way, and if the structure has an aesthetic charm, the very idea is you substitute and the terms must equally carry that same charm because the structure itself has a charm. If the structure has a charm, it has an aesthetic charm. Therefore, the mean analogy, would you not agree, having all of these qualities, these are the formal qualities of anything that is said to be beautiful, therefore necessarily it must be beautiful, and therefore God is creating according to a mean analogy. Everything he does, if it fits, therefore it must necessarily be beautiful. But wait a minute, this is a high degree of order, is it not? And where we see order combined with aesthetics, we know reason is present, and therefore it's a rational beauty. Therefore creation necessarily, if it follows the mean analogies, which it does, therefore it must necessarily be aesthetic, and therefore it must exhibit rationality, a core of rationality behind this. Therefore, going back to what we said earlier, remember, what is the supreme originating principle of all? That God wanted to create the universe like himself. Therefore, if this creation exhibits these qualities, therefore in the mind of God must be equally ordered by the structure of analogies. Since the creation he uses has a structure, the structure therefore its intelligible domain, that intelligible domain therefore must be in the mind of God, therefore God must necessarily be intelligible, at least to this degree. Beyond, certainly, but certainly within these terms. Now, I'd like to represent this, right, in another way, to see what's going on. All right, let's see if we can do it again. just symbolically, all right, just symbolically for a moment, without the terms. There's another very exquisite aspect to this, which I want to bring in now. These are called the extreme terms. These are called the mean terms, middle mean terms. The original statement of the analogy with its extreme terms becomes the middle terms. A is to B as B is to C. B is see, B is to A as C is to B. Therefore, the mean terms become the extreme terms become the mean terms become the extreme terms in these two transformations. Therefore, it turns on itself, doesn't it? It turns upon itself. The inside becomes outside, the outside becomes inside. It becomes ousia-like, doesn't it? Right? That's the property of ousia. So therefore, the very structure of this kind of analogy, upon which creation is based, right, is ousia-like, and it has that property of turning upon itself. Now, I'd like to just stay here for a moment then and talk about this, because this is the fundamental principle of all Platonic theology. This is the fundamental principle of all Platonic theology. And it works itself out in a very fine way. Right? That means this is going to be called the highest term. This is going to be called the mean terms. And this is going to become the last term. And remember, we can consider either we can put ideas in there or we can put numbers in there. And everything will work out in the same way. 2 is to 4 is 4 is to 8. Right? Well, that means the highest term, let's see how the highest term is functioning. Right? The highest term then moves through all of the places, and therefore what it does, it brings about a unity and order. Now, sometimes you can see this better if we put in personalities. And let me put in the key personalities in the Platonic corpus of works, all right? Socrates' teacher was Diotima. So Socrates was the student, and Socrates then became the teacher to Agathon. Therefore, we have a basic model of the transmission of a teaching. Socrates' teacher was a woman, Diotima of Mantinea, according to the Symposium, right? And she passed the teaching on to Socrates. Socrates then was able to pass that teaching on to Agathon. If you see that, then she has a great teaching with great potency and power, and it's able then to extend that sense of unity in her teaching throughout the entire order. Right? It moves through the entire order. So the teaching is a unity. It moves through the entire order and transforms the entire order into a very interesting unity. Now,